Vermont. It's so pleasantly mundane. It's mundane in all the right ways. Like, it's cozy, you know? We've gotten a few thunderstorms since we arrived. You can thank the warm weather for that. Not that any of these storms would actually spawn tornadoes, of course. It's technically possible, but no one would realistically expect it here. And even if one did spawn, it'd probably be a short-lasting EF0. Yes, you heard that correctly. EF, not just F. I'm trying to be more scientifically accurate, breaking an old habit, and it's really dying hard. Truth is, there's a difference between F and EF tornadoes. They use different scales, and I've been using the old one for a long time. It's not exactly what you'd call professional, so I'm trying to change that. Well, as you know, the Fujita scale was made by Dr. Tetsuya Theodore Fujita, and it's used to measure the power of tornadoes based on their wind speed and the damage they cause. On February 1st, 2007, the original scale was replaced by the enhanced Fujita scale, which is used today. Now, technically, there's an even newer scale called the International Fujita Scale, or IF scale for short, that was made in late July of 2023, but it's only used by certain weather organizations due to their specific building codes. EF is still the commonly used scale, so I'll just focus on that. Both the F and EF scales have the same basis in mind, but with their wind speeds adjusted. A tornado's ranking is given based on the damage it does. It goes something like this. An EFU tornado, U for unknown, is a tornado that did no damage and hurt no one, completely harmless. An EF0 tornado does light damage. It breaks windows, tears roof tiles, moves light objects, damages light buildings, rips out small trees from the ground, and tears branches off. An EF1 tornado does moderate damage. They overturn cars and mobile homes, bring down telephone poles, tear siding and roof tiles off of houses, as well as destroy barns. An EF2 tornado does considerable damage. They tear roofs off frame houses and damage their interiors, completely destroy weak structures, as well as uproot small and medium-sized trees. An EF3 tornado does severe damage. They displace large vehicles, tear down the roofs and exterior walls of frame houses, blow out windows of large and high buildings, as well as uproot and snap all trees. An EF4 tornado does devastating damage. They throw cars and move trains off railroad tracks, completely destroy light buildings, and chop down large trees. And finally, the big kahuna of all tornadoes, the legendary EF5. An ultra-rare and super powerful god of destruction that comes in darkness and leaves despair in its wake. The damage done is absolutely incredible. They can move vehicles for over a mile, completely debark trees, and annihilate buildings to utter nothingness. A tornado like this will most certainly take some lives with it. I figured you'd ask about EF6 tornadoes. The short answer is, they don't exist. But the long answer is much more interesting. EF6 tornadoes are kind of like cryptids. The very nature of such tornadoes is mythical, like a unicorn. In theory, there's no reason why they couldn't happen, but in reality, there is a reason why none have. The feats of damage that a tornado would have to accomplish to be given an EF6 rating are absurd and unrealistic. If I could describe EF6 tornadoes in one word, it would be inconceivable. EF5s are already associated with total clean slate destruction, so where do you even go from there? They'd have to do things that we simply can't imagine happening, such as lifting entire homes off of their foundation or even the slab itself. They would also have to carve deep trenches in the earth and turn buildings to dust, not to mention turning vehicles into high-speed bombs. Ridiculous things that sound like a work of fiction. There are several tornadoes that were actually considered for F6 and EF6 ratings, but were ultimately changed to sound more realistic. Lubbock, Texas in 1970, Xenia, Ohio in 1974, Bridge Creek, Moore, Oklahoma in 1999, Joplin, Missouri in 2011, and El Reno in 2013. Bridge Creek in particular being the last F5 in history using the old scale. These tornadoes were considered for the 6 rating due to their extremities, but I guess they were categorized differently because the mere concept of a 6 sounded too silly. It's like the rating is intentionally avoided in the interest of taking things seriously. Personally, there's one particular tornado that I think came the closest to an EF6 rating. It didn't cause the most casualties like Bangladesh, it wasn't the costliest like Joplin, and it didn't have the highest wind speed like Greenfield either. However, the feats of damage that its sheer strength performed were genuinely beyond belief. In late April of 2011, meteorologists at the Storm Prediction Center noticed something concerning. A massive region of low pressure, a trough, was moving across the United States. This trough brought fast-moving winds and drew in an exceptional amount of warm, moist air and cool, dry air. This mixture created a ton of atmospheric instability that was needed to generate thunderstorms, called CAPE, short for Convective Available Potential Energy. Additionally, the southwesterly winds of the trough were overspreading a powerful low-level jet of air that rushed north. This created incredibly large amounts of speed and directional wind shear that made the resulting thunderstorms rotate. All of this culminated in what would be known as the 2011 super outbreak, a major historical event that lasted from April 25th to the 28th. During these 4 days, tornadoes dominated the Midwest, unlike anything we've ever seen before. And of course, as we know, Joplin would have its infamous EF5 just a few weeks later. I'm surprised that it didn't happen during the outbreak. Regardless, on April 27th, the second to last day of the outbreak, an eldritch horror descended from the sky and laid waste to rural areas of Smithville, Mississippi. It even crossed the border into Alabama and did damage there as well. This monster was extremely violent. It did downright ridiculous things such as break and dislodge the slab of a home that once rested on it. Some buildings were granulated and reduced to mere wood chips. Pavement was ripped up from the road, anchor bolts were removed, a trench scoured the ground where the wind speed was at its peak. One particular vehicle flew through the sky for nearly 2 miles, and a different vehicle was thrown into a water tower, denting it. Total insanity, right? And as if that wasn't enough, Smithville was only one of 4 EF5s that happened on the exact same day. The other 3 being in Tuscaloosa, Rainsville, and most notably, Hackleburg. But in my opinion, if any tornado was worthy of the impossible EF6 rating, it would be Smithville. Of course, that wasn't actually the case. Despite being one of the most significant tornadoes of the outbreak, and certainly one of the most destructive tornadoes in history, it was given an EF5 rating because the EF6 rating is forbidden or something. So, to elaborate on the original point I was making, the reason why I wasn't using the enhanced Fujita scale for so long, I don't think it's very accurate. Well, okay, maybe that's not the most fair thing to say. It's probably accurate, but the National Weather Service makes it seem less accurate than it really is. I'll clarify the obvious. I absolutely do not want EF5 tornadoes to happen. They do terrible things, and the less of them we get, the better. That said, I do want tornadoes to receive accurate ratings, and I feel that hasn't been the case in over a decade. You know how the last EF5 tornado in history was on May 20th, 2013 in Newcastle, Moore, Oklahoma, right? Well, I don't think that's really true. The EF5 drought feels superficial. Too many tornadoes have been given high-end EF4 ratings, and I find that dubious. Perhaps the requirements that a tornado needs to meet in order to earn the EF5 rating are too strict. It's definitely a number of things. There's too many variables at play for the rating to be accurately achieved. Even this year, I could make a case for an EF5 tornado. On March 14th, a violent tornado trashed Diaz, Arkansas. Here, I'll pull up my phone and show you a Reddit post that has some photos of the damage that this tornado did. See this? A totally clean slab. Whatever home was there got deleted from existence. Even one of the anchor bolts are bent. Am I seriously supposed to believe that this somehow wasn't an EF5? See what I mean? Something is very clearly wrong here. The wind speed peaked at 190 miles per hour, which, to be fair, isn't quite EF5 strength, but that begs the question, if the wind speed was below 200, then how did it do so much damage? That doesn't make sense either. It's a mystery that I want to get to the bottom of. I guess I shouldn't get so worked up over it, but damn it, I just want to know what's wrong. Your hugs are always so nice. Perhaps I should start calling you my darling EF6. Maybe I should make my own Fujita scale. I'd call it the Advanced Fujita scale, or AF scale for short. Yeah, that realistically wouldn't catch on. I don't even think I can do it for legal reasons. It's just a fun thought. I suppose I'll just get used to using the EF scale like a normal person. As a meteorologist, I should act professionally. Sticking to the old scale just sounds weird at this point. Here's a fun fact. The first EF5 tornado happened in Greensburg, Kansas on May 4th, 2007, the same year the enhanced Fujita scale was introduced. This means that the only EF5s to ever happen so far have been between 2007 and 2013, a mere 6 years. I just thought of something. The next time an EF5 happens, if one ever happens again, I want us to be on the front line to see it for ourselves. True, we won't actually know if it's an EF5 until after the fact, but that's why we gotta keep chasing storms. If we make an honest effort, there's always a chance that we could witness an EF5 with our own eyes someday. We don't have to worry about that right now. Let's just enjoy our time in Vermont. No, actually, there was a case of a tornado lifting a home, like clean off the foundations. I learned about it in this documentary called The Wizard of Oz.